Hello and welcome. You're listening to Start Again with Shauna Lee, the place where you will be reminded that it's never too late and you're never too old to do the damn thing. So stick around if you're ready to vibe higher and be inspired to chase your dreams. Together, we will uncover your soul's truest desires. Now, if you're ready, let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Start Again with Shauna Lee. I am introducing you today to another new internet friend, Coryn Monét. She's the genius behind the Envysaje Brand, and I think I've said that right, which is a fashion brand that's all about quality and inclusivity. Coryn, I'm so glad to have you with me today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. I love the way we met in a Facebook group, and I'm excited for you to share your story with my audience and everybody to get to know you along with me. So the way I like to kick this off is just to have you do a quick little bio, kind of who you are, where you're coming from, but specifically, how have you embraced this idea of starting again?
Okay, so hi everybody. Yes, my name is Coryn Monét. I have been an entrepreneur and a fashion designer for 8 years now. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, by way of Nashville, Tennessee. And so I taught myself how to sew back in 2016, just off of YouTube. Strictly, never went to any classes. And it just stuck with me just because I got inspired by others that were like my age that were doing it as well. So my thought was like, if they can do it, I can do it. So I just took off on YouTube. I taught myself, and it started off as a swimwear line, and I'm at the point now where I'm making wedding dresses and prom gowns and pretty much everything now. And it's also grown into a cosmetic line and a men's line. And I just wrote my first book.
Amazing.
And I'm also teaching sewing, like sip and sew classes now. So it's kind of expanded a whole lot over the past 8 years.
Yeah. So I'm also a seamstress. I started my first kind of venture into entrepreneurship was a seamstress business. I was terrified to sew fashion or do alterations.
Mhm.
I was doing lots of home decor, curtains, baby bedding, pillows. So I'm really impressed by what you're doing. And like I told you before we started, one of my hopes and dreams for my life when I was a high school student was that I would be a fashion designer one day. And
Mhm.
I am just fascinated by your story and kind of how you got there. So maybe tell us a little bit more about kind of what that journey looked like for you.
Okay, so let's see. At the time, I was in college. I was serving and bartending for like actually 8 years. And I got my degree in communications because at first I thought I wanted to be a news reporter because my mom was a news reporter. So I was around it growing up.
Yeah.
So I was like, yep, I'm going to be an entertainment reporter. And then, like a year after graduation, is really when I got inspired by like two main designers who I followed on Instagram. And I wasn't sure like if they made their things themselves or if they had a manufacturer. So I just kind of went out on a limb and I DM'd one girl, and she responded like, girl, no, like I make everything myself. I don't have a manufacturer. And I'm like, what? Like I've never heard anybody that was like my age that was actually doing it. So
Yes.
I was like, wait a minute. Like if she can do it, that's where it came from. If she can do it, I can do it. So then I just studied YouTube videos like sun up to sundown for maybe like 4 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, all right, I'm ready. Like got a sewing machine. My grandparents actually got me a sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't stopped. So like in the beginning it was spring. So I was only working on swimwear. I only thought it was going to be a swimwear line. But once people started seeing me like post on my social media, they're like, "Ooh, she can sew." So then they would just ask me to make anything. Like, "Can you make me this jacket?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they pay for it, and I'm like, "I don't know how to make a jacket." So like to myself. So then I get back on YouTube
I have been there
and
and I
I
have done
learn how
that.
to make a jacket. And then that's how I learned. Honestly, like
Mm-hmm.
I never said no. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, now it's just gotten to the point where I've worked on everything, like
Mm-hmm.
kids' clothes, just pretty much everything. So now I'm at the point where I kind of have learned how to say no because
Yes.
I have been all over the place
Yep.
and I need to have like my own like niche and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's fun though. I'm glad that I pushed myself to do it because it was so many things that happened over the years that I could have been discouraged by,
Oh,
but
sure.
I was like, okay, nope. Like I've just used everything as a learning experience and like,
And
yeah,
starting
keep going.
with swimwear to me is like super ambitious. That is probably the last thing I would attempt to sew. And you like
Oh,
ventured out with swimwear. That's impressive.
yes. Thank you. It was really just it being spring and being hot outside. And I
Yeah.
was like, I want to make something that I can wear like in public.
Yes.
So like, yeah, just started small. But yeah,
I love it.
yes, it was great.
What
What
has
a
been your
journey.
favorite project that you've worked on so far?
I really like making gowns the most
Mhm,
because it's like more detail and like,
mhm.
I don't know, prettier fabrics and
Yeah, yeah.
um yeah, I make my own patterns too. So I kind of just do it as I go. So like I like to have that freedom and like, creative creative freedom.
Yeah.
I also sketch things out. So like if I have an idea in my head or like a client sends me like 2, 3 pictures, I'll combine them like in a sketch and then I'll make
Well, so when
it.
you look back at your story and kind of how you've gotten here and how your business has evolved, what do you think inspires you most about your story?
Honestly, that I never gave up. That I've kept going because like I said, it's been a lot of things in the past that's happened, like where there's unhappy clients or like
Mhm.
where I missed deadlines or whatever, and I never got discouraged, and I just kept going and kept going and kept going. So I think that's really the biggest thing because if you give up, you never know where it could go. So I'm like, oh,
Sure.
I'm not gonna give up. And
Yeah,
I didn't give up,
that's amazing.
and it's gotten this far in 8 years. So yeah, that's the main thing. I'm ready to see what's next and how far I can go.
I love it. And then one of the things that I've been focused on is in my own life and with my clients is kind of the lessons that we're learning from experiences, especially when we see like these patterns in our life where we're constantly running up against the same sort of challenge. Um, and so what I have noticed is when I look back on all the lessons I've learned that there's a theme kind of is running consistently through them. And what do you think the theme is for you and each of your lessons?
Honestly, it probably comes down to like procrastination
Mm,
or just like time management. Like I can't really I've gotten better with it now, but like before, it's like I can't really be too upset at myself when I know that I'm in control of like,
yeah.
everything. So if I just start sooner, communicate better, like I know that would cancel out a lot of the issues that I've had in the past
Hmm.
because I am a one woman show. So it's like I get so caught up with like having my head down and just sewing away. But there's also the side of like customer service. So like
Yep.
sometimes it's been hard to juggle really the whole time. It's been hard to juggle like both. I can't blame anybody else. Like it's all falls on me.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
just learn how to manage my time better, but also like schedule some like off time in there, some like self-care time because if I'm worn out, nothing's going to get done.
Oh, for sure.
So that's another thing that I've had to like really take into consideration that I need to like I'm still a person. I
Yep.
still need to come up and breathe. But once I do that, and I schedule like my working hours better, then it's gonna just grow from there.
My creative inspiration, as I call it, that's necessary when I'm writing is really similar to the creative inspiration when I was doing some sort of sewing project. So I would think like any creative outlet, no matter what that looks like, requires you to be in the right alignment to be able to have that
Mhm.
creative flow come through. So I think self care is a really big component of that, being able to kind of align who you are and fill your cup. And that way you're venturing out and giving
Yeah.
the world the best version of you. But really specifically, I think it serves us really well when we can get into an alignment so that we have that creative flow. I don't know about you, but I feel like
Mhm.
projects just breeze through when I'm in that space. Yeah.
Yes,
So self care is huge.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, because before I would just like schedule my weekly schedule, like starting with like orders,
Hmm.
like, and then I would try to plug in like whatever gaps of like time for myself. But at that point, it was like no gaps, so it was just like work, 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 and
Yeah.
every day's the same, like sewing for 13 hours straight every single day, and then I just like
That's a lot.
started having like bad
Yeah.
anxiety and just not really able to sleep, and I had to like correct myself because yeah, if my I can't pour from an empty cup. So if I'm all worn
Exactly.
out and drained, then it's gonna show in my craft. So I had to
Exactly.
fix that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I I would think your business is pretty indicative of what I see in the writing world is there's a creative element. So when I'm actually creating the content and writing, it's using, the right side of my brain, the more creative side. But when it comes to editing
Mhm.
and revising and, going out and answering emails, like these very kind of logistical things, that's using the right side of my brain. I think I said that right, left and right. I don't know. One is creative
Yeah.
and one is logic and analytical.
Right.
And I see the same for you and your business. Like one is the actual act of creating your craft, and then one is like
Hmm.
running your business, which is wah, wah, the stuff we have to do to keep
Yeah.
the things coming in.
Right.
But there's a balance because we're human beings, and I think
Yeah,
we should do both.
exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
So when you look back at the younger you, and if you could go back and give her advice, what would you say to her?
Really, I would just say to just never give up. Just
Mhm.
keep pushing yourself, and at some point, you're gonna reap the fruits of your labor. Like you're gonna have speed bumps along the way, but that builds character in the end when you get through all of that. So
It does.
I just say keep pushing, and yeah, don't. It's not gonna be easy, but easy's boring. So
Oh, I love
just
that.
push
Easy
yourself.
is boring.
Anybody can just do the easy stuff, but I'm gonna go like 10 steps ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell my daughter all the time because her biggest thing now that it's summer is I'm bored. I'm like, being bored is not terrible.
Yeah.
This is kind of a little bit of a luxury for you. Go be bored. Go read a book.
Yes, I know.
But
Like, please,
yeah,
I need to be bored. Please, I want
yes.
to be bored.
Yeah. But you're right. Easy is boring. Um, well, amazing. So this next question I have is kind of, we kind of look to the past and then now look forward. Before I ask this next question, where do you see your business going? What is next for you?
So I'm in the process of trying to figure out if I want like a storefront or something smaller, like a showroom where it's like private shopping, like appointment only.
Mhm.
Like you can get your alterations done there. I can host my sewing classes there. So I really just want to have like a location where people can come, whether they come from out of town or they're local, that's like not coming to my home.
Yes.
But a place where I can offer a lot of services that way. And I'm also looking up more. Like I'm tired of being behind the scenes and all
Mhm.
just only making things. I'm ready to have like fashion shows and pop up
Oh,
shops
I love
and
it.
yes, I'm kind of like have my teaching cap on now.
Yes.
So like the book that I just launched like 2 weeks ago.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
Yes, it's called The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a Fashion Designer Without Going to Fashion School. So I basically tell everything that I told you, like my mindset of like how I taught myself and how I got to the point where I am now, and just offering like as many, just really trying to be an open book because I had like the girl that inspired me, her name is Paige. She didn't have to respond to that DM. And honestly, I feel
Hmm.
like if she didn't respond to it, I would have never taught myself because I didn't think it was possible. I just knew she was going to say she had a manufacturer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to be that person for like other
I
people
love it.
because I'm like it's and the younger that you start, the better it is. So like I do have parents come to me asking if I teach like younger kids.
Oh,
And I'm like, yes, at some point I wasn't, but like I am now and I want to put it all out in the book. So
I love
I
it.
did that and I included pictures and links and yeah.
And how are you teaching? How are you hosting those classes?
So right now it's mainly sip and sew classes. I do between like 6 and 12 like participants at a time.
Hmm.
So I have the class once a month, 3 hour class, and I change the project every class. So it just depends on how many
Oh,
people are going
fun.
to be in the class. But we'll just go straight, and this is beginner, so they don't have to have any experience. But we go straight into making a garment. So I teach them like how to take measurements, how to make your own patterns, how to scale the patterns to different sizes. I show them like how to thread the machines and then they do it. Like I have a few amount of sewing machines that I put in rotation. It's hands-on and then it's fun and interactive. It's like a creative happy hour. So of course there's beverages and snacks
Yeah.
and yeah.
A creative happy hour. I tell you what, I think the world needs more of those.
Yes. It's like nobody wants to be serious all the time. Or you can kind of like not too much because you still have to learn and like, you don't
Yeah,
want to sew your fingers
for
together,
sure.
but just enough like to be around people,
Sewing can be
be
dangerous.
around people who it can be.
I have
I've
one.
definitely broke a couple of needles in my fingers
Yes.
over the past 8 years.
Same.
So yes, we're gonna. I learned the hard way so that I can, teach them what not to do. But
Yeah.
yes, it's very fun. So right now I have classes booked until August.
That's
So
amazing.
that's really nice.
That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
So my next question is kind of in line with that. Like now that you have this experience and this journey thus far has taught you some lessons, what do you now believe is possible for your life?
Anything, everything.
Yes.
Honestly, I feel like I say this all the time. I'm like, the fact that I taught myself how to sew off of YouTube with no experience, I feel like I could build a house at this point. And
Uh-huh.
I know that's kind of like far fetched, but that's who I am. I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm up for a challenge. I
Mhm.
feel like anything is possible.
Yeah.
And it is. I also, this is kind of like off, but kind of in the same topic. But whenever I have like an event coming up, or like whether it's like going to the movies or like going to, like an actual event or going on a vacation, I always make my outfits like right then for it.
Stop it.
So,
Really?
yes. Because I'm like, who am I? How can I be a designer if I'm going out wearing clothes that I didn't make? Because I don't want it to come across anybody that's going to ask if I made it and I have to say no.
Yes.
So I just, yeah, I go straight into it. So I recently got back from Greece, in London, like, I don't know, like a month ago. I went for my birthday with my boyfriend. And I made a whole Greece collection like within 48 hours before our trip.
Oh my goodness.
It was a lot of pieces, but I'm like, I have to do it. I have to do it. Like, if I'm going to go that far, like, I'm thinking, what is a way that I can, like, I can document the whole trip, but, like, have new pieces for my following to, like, add to the website. So, yeah, I just made a whole collection.
And I'm looking really quickly because I think I already am following you on
Yes.
Instagram. Is this where you are sharing?
Yes, my Instagram name is the Envisage, Envysaje brand. And I pretty much post everything that I make on there. Yeah, there's a lot of videos, a lot of pictures on there. Um,
Amazing. Yes,
so
that's.
yeah.
I'm sort of stealing my thunder and asking that question in advance, but it worked really well in what you were talking about because I know that I would instantly want to see what those outfits look like.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, I try to post as much as I can. I'm like, there's no such thing as posting too much on Instagram or like TikTok.
It's
So I
true.
just have to try to have fun with it.
It's true. So you are sharing on Instagram, which we talked about. But where can people find you? You're based in Atlanta, right?
Yes, I'm based in Atlanta. I do like consultations if anybody has like an event coming up. Or my website is shopinvisage.com. And yeah, or by email. I know I sent in my email to
Yes,
you.
which I'll put in the show
It
notes.
you will
Hmm.
perfect.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it. Just if you have an event coming up, or you just want to have a schedule a consultation or whatever, I can be reached at the either the Instagram or the email. But yes, I'm located in Atlanta. I'm in Buckhead, and yes, I'm looking for more like clientele because I've only been in the area for a year. But like I said, I'm trying to get out more and like meet, new clientele, and I'm up for all projects.
Amazing. So I will definitely make sure people know how to find you. What is a takeaway that you would like my listeners to know about you or how to engage with you? Anything we haven't talked about?
Well, really, the takeaway is just I feel like a lot of people are like too hard on themselves,
Hmm.
or they think something is too hard to achieve.
Hmm.
And I literally just threw myself out there with no experience, like ready. I'm like, as soon as I launched my business, I'm like, the first few people that ordered were probably like, what is this? Because I wasn't like an expert. I was just like, I'm gonna do it and I don't care and I'm doing it now.
Uh-huh.
So it's like it's different sides of it, but I'm like, you can either try to perfect it and try to perfect it and like push it off as long as wherever, or you can just throw yourself out there and
Yes,
you'll learn along the way, and again,
for
that
sure.
builds the character.
I totally agree with that methodology. One of my mentors that I follow, he says sometimes you just have to jump off the cliff and find your wings on the way down. I'm
Exactly, I
like,
love
yes,
that.
it's like such a pretty
Yes, because
visual to like just do the
it
damn
is.
thing.
Yes, please just do it. I'm like, it's gonna be like it's so easy to get stuck in, I don't know, just get stuck in whatever you're doing. Like if you have an idea of something, time is going to go regardless. It's not going to wait on you. I like don't have any regrets and think like I should have done this when I'm all for just doing it, and then figuring it out along the way.
And I have to say, I completely agree with YouTube being an incredible resource. I have taught myself as a single mom how to fix all sorts of things around my house by looking at YouTube videos. Like I've changed the handle on my car. I've troubleshooted my disposal. Like I've done all sorts of things that I have like zero desire to actually learn how to do. But I'm like, well, help me.
It's the best. And it feels good when you do it, right?
Oh, for sure. I don't want to do it again, but I know how to if I have to.
That one time.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Well, it has been a pleasure to get to know you. And I thank you again for joining me.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that we both were in the Facebook group and that you reached out. This was very fun.
I love it. And I will, of course, let everyone know how they can find you, and we will stay in touch.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So whether you want to write a book, start a new business, or just put one foot in front of the other after divorce, the very first step you must take is to find your center, to align with who you really are. The way to do that is to find your very own perfect balance between body, mind, and spirit. Are you ready to figure that out for yourself? Pop on over to shaunalee.com/align to gain access to my signature program. In just 45 minutes, you'll learn all you need to know to create your own plan to find your center. Align is the program name. Find it under services at shaunalee.com.